Ladies and gentlemen, let us have a look at this question. The question is the lines 3x plus 2y minus 7 equals to 0 and ax plus 3y plus 2 equals to 0 are perpendicular. So these two lines, they are perpendicular. Find the value of a. Now, this question comes from the equation of straight lines. It comes from the equations of straight lines. Now, from the equations of straight lines, two lines are perpendicular if the product of their gradients, is -1. Two lines are perpendicular if the product of their gradients is -1. If, for example, the gradient of this line times the gradient of this line is -1, that means they are perpendicular. Now, we have the line 3x plus 2y minus 7 equals to 0. That is 3x plus 2y minus 7 equals to 0. Now, for us to find the gradient of this line, we have to write this equation of this line so that it be in the form of y equals to mx plus c. So we need to write this equation so that it can be in this form, so that we can determine its gradient. Because in this general form, the gradient here is just m. If we write it an equation in this form, that is in the form of y equals to mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. Now, in this case, we shall have 2y. If we take everything to the other side, that means we shall have equals to -3x, then plus 7. Now, if this is what we have, that means for us to have y alone, that means we shall divide by 2 on both sides. That is by 2, 1 by 2, 1. And therefore, in this case, we shall have y equals to -3 over 2x plus 7 over 2. Since that is what we shall have, that means our gradient of this line is -3 over 2. And I can write its gradient as m1. Now, since we have our m1 as -3 over 2, we need also to find m2, which is the gradient of this second line. Now, the second line is ax, that is the equation of the second line is ax plus 3y plus 2 equals to 0. Now, let me also write this one in the general form. That is in the form of y equals to mx plus c. Therefore, I have to make 3y the subject, and therefore, I shall have 3y equals to, I take this one to the other side, that is -ax. Then if I take this one to the other side, it also becomes minus. Now, from this point, I want to remain with y alone, and therefore I will divide by 3 on both sides. By 3, 1, by 3, 1. In this case, I shall have y equals to -a over 3x, -a over 3x, then minus 2 over 3. Now, that means our m2 will now be -a over 3. This is the gradient of this line 2. So our m2, which is the gradient of the second line, is -a over 3. Now, since we have the gradient of the second line as negative a over 3, that means we shall have our m1 as negative 3 over 2, then times m2, which is negative a over 3, then equals to negative 1. Now, negative 3 over 2 times negative a over 3 is just positive 3a over 6 equals to negative 1. And if I simplify it by 3, 1, by 3, 2. Therefore, I have this as a over 2 equals to negative 1. And if I multiply by 2 on both sides, that means I shall have my a as negative 2. And therefore, that is the value of a at this point.